Good afternoon, everyone. I feel like I got a big brain now that I've got this around my neck, and I so appreciate the kind words of introduction, Mr. Bowman. Let me thank Dean Johnson, Dr. Woolman, and the staff and trustees of this fine institution for this tremendous honor and for inviting me here today to share a few words with you. Let me begin by thanking Nathan for his remarks. Very well done. And to infinity and beyond, I concur. Standing here and receiving this honorary degree, I can't help but think back to my own law school graduation. There's nothing like that sense of excitement and trepidation about the future. That sense I know you feel that really anything is possible today. Anything is possible. But it's not just a feeling. The reality is that with this degree, you now have the keys to unlock a future of success and impact. Now is your time. We know that none of us got here alone. So congratulations are certainly in order to each one of you, but also to your families and friends who have supported you along the way. Graduating law school is no easy task, but you've made it. So please take a moment today to recognize those who stood behind you and around you and in front of you, who put up with you and prayed for you and paid for you along the way. Make sure you thank them. Especially Max Peters, make sure you thank your dad. I admire you for your hard work, your dedication, and your perseverance that allowed you to reach this day. And as a graduate of the Georgetown University Law Center Night School, I want to especially thank those of you who went part-time while working full-time jobs. Today you are one step closer to joining the legal profession as stewards of our justice system. You will put your knowledge to use, serving your clients, the legal system, and most importantly, the higher ideals of justice. It's fitting for me as a public servant to stand here on this stage at Widener. While it has undergone different stages of growth and transition, the constant throughout Commonwealth law's history is that it has instilled in its students qualities of leadership, scholarship, and public service. In fact, around 40% of your fellow graduates each year choose careers in public interest or government. And your alumni speaker alluded to that earlier. That's far more than most law schools in our area. That says a lot about you, and it says a lot about this fine institution. Some of the finest examples of public servants who have come from Commonwealth law work in the Office of Attorney General. People like Kelly Neary and Eric Philman, people like Michelle Henry. You know, Michelle is a tough, brilliant lawyer, and the only first deputy attorney general in the history of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to answer to the salutation, ma'am. And we are very proud of that. Eric is our first ever Chief Integrity Officer who exudes ethics and has helped restore faith in the Office of Attorney General. He graduated and sat right here 25 years ago today. And Kelly serves so ably as one of our top prosecutors in the office. I asked Michelle, our first deputy, about her time here, and what she said truly struck a chord with me. She said that when she was in law school, Anita Hill was testifying before the United States Senate, and she recalls there was actually only one version of Law and Order on TV at the time. But as much as things have changed, there's a thread of constancy that ties her time here to yours. She informed me that your place is apparently still the place to go for happy hour. There is a Professor Deem who is still shaping people's legal minds. and public service is the calling card of this great school. Michelle says that Widener has in many ways been like a member of her family. You get to watch it grow and change over the years, but at the core of who they are, it all remains the same. At Widener, that core is serving others. Widener's public service mission is consistent with our requirement that attorneys look beyond the specific interests of their individual clients. In fact, the preamble of the American Bar Association's Model Rules of Professional Conduct reads in part, as a public citizen, a lawyer should seek improvement of the law, access to the legal system, and the administration of justice. See, law is a unique profession in that it defines its practitioners as public citizens, charged not with winning at all costs, but rather ensuring justice, upholding the rule of law, and acting with integrity. So with that in mind, let me speak about justice and the rule of law and integrity for a brief period here today. Our profession makes up just 0.4% of our population, but our reach extends well beyond those small numbers. Regardless of the type of law you practice, or whether it is in the public sector, like one of your graduates, State Representative Jim Christiana, or in the private sector, the underlying truth remains the same. We are public citizens with a responsibility to do justice for the greater good. And as a lawyer, I take that responsibility very seriously. History has largely been defined by lawyers who acted beyond their individual clients' interests and worked for the public benefit. When our profession was completely dominated by men, Ruth Bader Ginsburg blazed trails for women in law school, for women's rights, and eventually on the Supreme Court. In the face of death threats, a lawyer named Thurgood Marshall stood up against Jim Crow and segregation laws, most famously in Brown versus Board of Education, which desegregated public schools. And Philip Hirschkopf, someone you've probably never heard of, at the age of 31, just a few years out of law school, took on a case known as Loving versus Virginia and helped forever change the way we view love and marriage in the United States of America. Those names and their accomplishments may seem out of reach for you today at the beginning of your careers. But I remind you that each one of those three and the thousands more who have impacted our history and jurisprudence all started in the same place where you start here today. The only limitation on you is your own capacity to imagine, your own capacity to dream. You have the tools and you have the know-how, and you could be next. And for the sake of our profession, for the sake of our society, I hope you're ready to lead. And now it's your responsibility to be ready. Scripture teaches us that no one is required to complete the task, but neither are we free to refrain from it. That means that each and every one of us has a responsibility to get off the sidelines, get in the game, and do our part for the greater good. I think a lot about that responsibility in my work each day. Now more than ever, so many of the challenges that we face as a nation are landing on the desks of state attorneys general. Whether it's the heroin and opioid crisis that is devastating our communities and taking the lives of 15 Pennsylvanians a day, or some multinational corporation eschewing their responsibilities to society in search for a quick buck, a victim of a child predator whose story must be told, or when the President of the United States takes illegal actions and needs to be held accountable because no one is above the law. Someone has to step up and seek justice. And I'm proud to do that. And I'm proud to have a cadre of outstanding attorneys working with me in that effort. And I'm honored to serve as your Attorney General. But the common theme, the common thread of the work that we do each day is upholding the rule of law. Every case you ever work on, every client you ever serve, is really all about the same thing. Every time you help someone obtain justice, you uphold the rule of law. Even if you lose your case, your actions give people faith in our institutions when you act within the bounds of the law. And that faith allows people to live their lives with the comfort of knowing that anyone who harms them, no matter how large or small the issue, can and will be held accountable for their actions. The rule of law should never bend or bow to political or personal pressure. It is a constant, consistent North Star, and we must always look to it. Now, if the rule of law fails, so does our democracy. Lawyers like you are the stewards of the rule of law, and integrity is our currency. At a time when so many of our institutions are under attack, now more than ever, you are called upon to serve, to strengthen those institutions. You know, there's a famous saying that Eric Philman always reminds us of, that integrity is doing the right thing even when no one is watching. Personally, I think that quote should be changed to integrity is doing the right thing especially when no one is watching. When you become lawyers, you will swear an oath. That oath is our common bond, and it is premised on that integrity. Respect it and live it. Law is a service profession. So while serving your clients is your responsibility, your highest duty is serving the courts, the legal community, and our democracy. Justice, not winning, is the ultimate purpose of your work. So I'm calling on you to judge yourself not by whether you win or lose a case, but by the extent to which you maintain and build upon your integrity. Your integrity is your most important asset, and it is our most valued long-term currency. So please treat it that way. Justice, the rule of law, and integrity. Let me close with one of my favorite stories. A woman is alone on a beach where 1 million starfish have washed up on the shore. And she's picking them up and throwing them back one at a time. Someone else happens upon her and says, "What are you wasting all your time for? You can't save them all. What does it matter?" And the woman said, "It matters to the ones that I throw back. It matters to the ones that I throw back." The strength of our democratic institutions depends on the participation of each and every one of you here today, regardless of the path you choose after receiving your diploma. You see, whether in the public or private sector, you have the chance to not just work on the defining cases of tomorrow, but to define tomorrow and to change the culture across artificial boundaries and help heal some of the gaping wounds of our society today through the practice of law. Your work will matter to the ones whose lives you impact, and collectively, you will usher in real change. You have an awesome opportunity and immense power to impact the trajectory of our democracy and our systems of justice. Seize this moment and take this mantle of leadership. We all depend on each other, and we all depend on you. So carpe diem, seize the day. I will end where I began by expressing my profound gratitude to Widener Law School for giving me this opportunity to share some thoughts with you today and to commend each and every one of you on your hard-earned achievement. And now, I will leave you with the words of one of America's greatest philosophers, Dr. Seuss. Congratulations. Today is your day. You're off to great places, you're off and away. You've got the brains in your head, you've got the feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself any direction you choose. You're on your own, and you know what you know, and you are the person who'll decide where to go. Congratulations.